Hey, what's going on, guys? Archangel 7, Genesis Gaming, and today I have another Final Fantasy deck profile. This one is going to be a water ice control that I played at locals. I did make it to top 8, however I lost my top 8 match due to reasons. But I figured I'd share this one with you. I like sharing all the decks that I do pretty well with. So let's hop right into it. The first card is going to be 3 copies of Snow, the 1-drop. And Snow, he's pretty decent. He's not the best. He's very easy to get rid of, but when Snow attacks, you choose one forward opponent controls and dulls it. And if you played Shiva this turn, then you can freeze that one. So he just kind of makes it, he's a really nice and unexpected finisher that, you know, someone might just overlook while he's on the field. So Snow was good. I would, however, replace him. I'd replace those 3 copies with 3 copies of Sid Reigns. Sid, I think, is just a lot better, and you get the value out of just discarding 1 card to play him. And he has the threat of just kind of dealing some damage and also discarding a card from your opponent's hand. So I think he has a lot more utility and versatility. So I'd replace him with him. But next is 3 copies of the other Snow. And so this Snow is actually pretty nice because it's a control deck. I have a lot of high costing characters. So this Snow, if you can get him on the board, stabilize with him, he's going to stop a lot of aggro. Because if your opponent has 2 characters on the field, Snow can block one of them and dull the other one. So really nice being able to stop that aggro. And then he also can, when he blocks, you can pay 1 ice crystal point for a special, and he gains 2,000 power and first strike. Let's see, yeah, to the end of that turn. So yeah, he's just a really good blocker. Really stops opponents' aggro playing him. Next is 3 copies of Terra. I didn't really get the value out of Terra. She is a really nice card. She makes your opponent's summons cost more, but she also can't be chosen by summons as well. And then she has the ability to pay 2 crystal points, and she gets plus 3,000 power and first strike. So she can become a 9k first striker, which is really good for blocking or attacking and getting some characters out. And just the threat, just if you know they're sitting there with a 9k character and you swinging with her, just the threat of her being able to become 9k and first strike will make them probably not guard. So Terra is actually a pretty good card. Next is 2 copies of Ash. Ash is in here because she is extremely hard to get rid of. If you're going against lightning, you're going against fire. Ash is just really hard to get rid of. Anytime she's targeted, she gains plus 3,000 power. So you really have to be targeting her with, I believe, 7,000 to 8,000 2 times in order to actually kill her, which is pretty hard to do. So yeah, Ash is good. She can also activate herself. So if you're going against ice, you're going against lightning, or anything that's going to dull down your characters, she can pay 2 water, activate herself. I won't get into her special because you probably won't use it with only 2 copies. But Ash is super good, and you could even run 3 if you wanted to. You could find room for it. There's definitely room in this to run 3 Ash. My last 3 cost is 1 copy of Renoa. And Renoa is good defensively. Just being able to dull all your opponent's force really stops their aggro. I don't run too many 8 characters, Final Fantasy 8 characters, so she won't get that big, but Yeah, the defensive play is really nice. We have a way to basically send her to the break zone. So I would run more of her, but I don't have any more. So fortunately I'm down to the 1, but the 1 is fine. It's really fine. Next is 2 copies of 4-drop Terra, who is actually a pretty decent card. I got a lot of use out of her. So when she enters the field, you can choose up to 2 Dole Forge your opponent controls and deal them 4,000 damage. Then she can pay 1 ice to deal, choose 1 Dole Forge, deal it 1,000 damage. So there was instances where they had, 5k guys on the field, and I drop her and deal the 4, then pay the crystal point to deal the 1,000 for a total of 5. So she'd get rid of them. And then she also, just discarding 1 Terra, she deals double damage. Yeah, if she deals damage to a 4, double the damage until the end of turn. So she can basically hit for 14k. So you block with her, you discard a Terra, and that's 14. So she was really nice. Got a lot of utility out of her. Next is 2 copies of Vayne. Vayne is really good against, actually, my deck. I played against someone who played a Vayne, and it really shut my deck down, and you'll see why in just a bit. But basically, forwards of cost 5 or more your opponent's control, they won't activate. And then when he hits the field, he dulls forwards of 5 or more. So if you can't get rid of him and you have high costing characters, he's going to be a real issue. So he's really good in this deck. Next is the main card of the deck, which the deck is basically centered around, and that is 3 copies of Ultimecia, which is probably one of my favorite cards. I think it's one of the best control cards in the game. All the forwards other than Ultimecia enters the field dull. Then with her special, she can freeze all forwards, and that is actually quite relevant. I did actually use this against an Amon. This Amon was keeping this guy alive. I ended up hitting a Shiva, dulling him, freezing him on his turn, and that thing never activated for the rest of the game. I made sure of it, and then I destroyed him. But Ultimecia is super, super good. But there's a caveat with her. If your opponent has a dominant board, that's going to be a real issue for you. Because basically, Ultimecia, she's going to slow your opponent down, but at the same time, she's also going to slow you down. So if your opponent has 3 characters already on the field, you drop an Ultimecia, they already have 3 characters to your 1. And then your guys are going to come in dulled, which means on your opponent's turn, you're not going to be able to block with those guys. So she's very, very tricky to use. You have to be extremely careful and cautious when playing her. But other than that, Ultimecia is extremely, extremely good. I do have a way to make it a little bit safer and better to play, which I will get to in just a moment. But 1 copy of Cecil. I am a fan of this card. I'm not a fan of a playset. I'm not even a fan of 2, but just that 1 tech copy is just insanely good. For 1, he's going to give you forwards plus 1,000. So Ultimecia is now 10. Then basically all your forwards can't receive damage from summons or abilities. Oh my gosh! So you have to break him. If you don't break him, you're not getting rid of him, unless you. There's a way to get rid of him. Party up and attack. He has to block. But way you can get around that is just basically attack with Cecil all the time. Your opponent's gonna be a little reluctant to guard because he's 9k. But especially if you have a Minwu too and he doesn't receive damage, attack with him every time, you'll be okay. Next is 3 copies of Cloud of Darkness. Yes, 3 copies, and this card really, really comes through. When she hits the field, each player selects one forward they control, and then all the forwards that were not selected are put into the break zone. So, man, this was so good. Like, I've had a couple games, because the deck's, it's pretty slow when you're really trying to set up. It can be slower. So I had games where my opponent were just gaining so many characters. They had so much on the field. I'm like, man, this is not good. And I just Cloud of Darkness. I've used her 2 times in most of my matches. I'd use her 2 times, just basically reset the board. I'd keep Ultimecia out, they'd keep their one, and now we're back to even board state, and now I can basically play catch up. So yeah, super good at 3. You need 3 in this deck in particular, or you will really, you'll probably lose if you don't have 3. On to the summons is 3 copies of Moogle with the EX burst. Really nice. You need draw power in this. You want to make sure that you have Ultimecia. You want to make sure that you basically have all the answers you need when you need them. Trying to get into the Cloud of Darknesses, Veins, whatever you need. 3 copies of Shiva. Another EX burst. Choose one forward, dull it, and freeze it. Too good. Too good. Especially on the EX burst. This card, I tell you, is absolutely insane. Just another way to slow your opponent down. Ultimecia is already slowing them down. And then this card is just going to do even more. So super good. Next, I have 3 copies of Leviathan. So Leviathan is another EX burst. Yeah, all mines are EX burst. So I take damage like I'm doing stuff to you. Bounce card. This card bounces a forward to hand. Way too good. Every water needs to play this card. Yeah, I can't say just enough about it. Like I was going to get one time I was going against a Vayne. I had Ultimecia, I had Cecil out. You know, I had all my big guys, and Vayne was just locking them down. So as he passed his turn, in response to his turn, I bounced the Vayne. So on my turn, the Ultimecia and the Cecil were able to activate, and I was able to get an attack in and really just set things up and win. Super good. 1 tech copies of Hades, who is very expensive, but this card is insanely good though, real talk. Choose 1 forward and 1 backup your opponent controls. Dull the forward, return the back to its owner's hand. Then your opponent discards a card. Man, this guy does a lot. He came in clutch a couple times. You know, just like I said, this deck really slows your opponent down. Ultimecia, Shiva's, Leviathans, even the Renoa can kind of help slow things down for your opponent. And then this card will just add to it. Speaking of slow down, a really fantastic card in this deck, which is a backup, is Time Mage. Time Mage is insane. Man, this card is so good. Reason being, it's because it's 2-drop. It does have the multiple symbol right here. So you can't have more than 1 on the field. And it says you pay 1 ice crystal point. And you dull it. Choose a forward that can attack this turn. So you having 2 on the field, you can stop 2 of your opponent's characters from attacking, which is really good, really insane, because you're going to be using Cloud of Darkness to basically reset the board a lot. Your opponent's probably going to have 2 characters, 1 or 2 characters max, who can attack. So if you can stop both from attacking, your opponent just really can't hit you for damage. So that card's super good. 1 Astrologian. I have this because my forwards come in dulled as well as my opponents. I need a way to activate them in case I need a blocker. Astrologian can do that, and so it's pretty nice tech in. I don't use it often, but it is there if you need it. Next, I was playing something that I will definitely change, but it was a Cosmos and Chaos. They basically can dull for any color, but what I didn't know is that you couldn't have both of them on the field at once. So because I know that now, I will take out one. I'll take out the Chaos and keep the Cosmos, and the Chaos will become something else that I will show in just a moment. But yeah, though I was playing those two for the tournament. Next was a fantastic card, Summoner, super good. 3-drop ice backup. You pay 1 ice, put Summoner to the break zone and choose a summon and cancel its effects. Man, this card is ruthless. And he doesn't dull himself, so you can dull him for the ice point and then just break him to cancel the effect. But I had snow, 1-drop snow in the field. Basically I had game, but my opponent played a Cyclops. Playing the Cyclops would have definitely stopped me from winning the game, but I had the Summoner. I canceled the Cyclops effect. I swung with the snow, dulled down, I forgot who he was using, but I dulled him down, got this attack from snow through, and then had one of my other characters attack for game. So this card is super good. It comes in clutch. Love it. Next is 3 copies of Minwoo, who is pretty decent. He's not as necessary as he was in my Water Earth control deck. In the Water Earth control deck, he's very necessary because you're running Vincent. You want to keep Vincent alive, so you need the Minwoo. In this deck, he's not really that important. Yeah, he's just really not. But he's still good to have in there. He can make it harder for your opponent. Next is 3 copies of Devout. Devout is insanely good. I will, however, possibly drop this down to 2. The 4 cost is a little high, and I'd like to have more 2-drops. So I'd probably drop him down to 2. But he's great. On your turn, you can dull him, put him in the break zone, choose 1 4 to 4 or less, and from your break zone, and play it onto the field. So, man, this guy has so many targets in this deck. He has Vayne he can go for. He has Terra if you want to basically kind of burn off some guys. You have Renoa. I wouldn't really get Ash off of it because she's not that important, but Renoa can be just a really good defensive play for you. So these 3 cards are just really nice to be able to pick up off of that. So yeah, this card's really good. Like I said, but I'll probably cut him to 2. And then last backup is 2 copies of Yuna. Yuna's great. She has an EX burst. She's going to return, choose 1 4, return it to its owner's hand. And then if she's on the field as a backup, when a character is put into the field from the break zone, you can remove it from the game instead. So that helps against all the characters who activate from going to the break zone. So Emperor, Zan, Gobez, Renoa, just anyone who goes to the break zone and gets an ability, she can stop that. I didn't use her, however, as a backup because I didn't go against any of those decks that I just mentioned. But her EX burst did come in handy about once or twice. I would possibly cut her to 1 because I have the Leviathans for the bounce, so I'd probably cut her to 1. So what I would change about this deck really quickly is I found myself being very, very slowed down by Ultimecia, and I would fall behind my opponent. So one thing you could possibly play is maybe find some room to play a fairy or 2 just to be able to activate your guys to get your blockers, because I found that as a really big issue is not having the blockers to be able to survive due to Ultimecia dulling my forwards that come in. So maybe a couple of these would help. And then Jill Nabat is definitely a backup you definitely want to play. I would have played her, but I didn't have her. My card shop sold out of them, but I got a Final Fantasy 13 starter set and just got her from that. I also did an unboxing. I'll probably just link it below if you want to see what else comes in that. But yeah, she's super good. EX burst. You choose up to 2 forwards and freeze them. So yeah, super good, man. And then she can she has a special where she can choose a forward, dull it, and freeze it too. So I'd probably take out 1 Yuna, 1 Devout, and Chaos. So I'd probably take out these 3 and then put the 3 Jill Nabats in there. And then that will complete my backups. So that is the deck profile, guys. I hope you enjoyed. This one is actually really fun. It is really good, especially once you probably make those couple changes. Add the Jill Nabats, probably take out the Snow for Sid Rains, and play carefully, play slowly and patiently. Yeah, this deck is super good. Once it gets control of the board, yeah, your opponent is done. However, you will struggle against the Vayne because your Ultimecia and your Cecil will not activate, and that hurts because they're your biggest cards, and you don't have a way to pump anything else too much, except for this and that. But yeah, so other than that, guys, if you enjoyed this video, leave a thumbs up. That's going to help the channel out, help me improve and get better at what I'm doing. Also, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. I'm going to be putting out more deck profiles. One that's coming up is going to be a 5-color mannequin deck. So if you're excited to see that, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss it. Other than that, I will catch you guys next time.